What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Brandon's Face. It's the podcast about a playlist. I'm Jonathan Beardsley.
And I am Brandon May.
Thanks for tuning in. We're currently in the limbo between week 1 and 2 of Coachella 2024. I didn't catch as many of the performances as I wanted to this year, but I kept up with the festival as best I could. I feel like your ear was a lot closer to the ground than mine was. So tell me how you think week 1 went.
You know what's crazy to me, man, is that a lot of people talked a lot of shit about the Coachella lineup, and I could not even watch all of the performances that I wanted to, and I could rewind.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe there's some people who have less eclectic taste than I do, but that doesn't really matter. I think week one went interestingly. I think a lot of the artists really killed it. Sublime being one of them. I think some artists kind of did not perform to their what's the word?
We could talk
Peak
about
capacity. But overall, man, I think the people that went had a fucking banging time. I think weekend one got really spoiled with some great surprise sets at the Do Lab. I think there was counter programming was on point for the festival as far as logistics go. So we didn't have so many people at Charlotte DeWitt's set or so many people at Dom Dalla's set that it felt overcrowded for everybody. Everybody on the forums and the Reddit were talking about how undercrowded it felt, even though they say that weekend one sold out.
They say.
They do say.
They do be saying. Yeah, so what were some of the surprises at the Do Lab? I saw Cascade finally made his appearance doing a back-to-back with Alice in Wonderland, and I think Billie Eilish did a surprise set of some
She
kind.
did. Billie Eilish did indeed do a surprise Do Lab set, which was out of character for the Do Lab, but also welcome in my opinion. She brought out the
Sure.
Killers.
Okay. I
Um,
didn't even hear about. There's so much happening at this festival now that it's impossible to hear about everything that's gone on, especially week one. Um,
and then I
that
think DJ Pee Wee, aka Anderson Pack,
Anderson Paak.
did a cute little surprise set at the Do Lab.
And this was also the first year of the Quasar stage, which turned out to be an all-day stage and kind of a really cool vibe from what I caught, especially that Jamie XX back-to-back set with what Daphne and Floating Points, I
Yeah,
think.
that back to back to back, that B3B.
Yes, the B3B. Yeah, so the lineup and set times for week 2 are out. It seems to be mostly the same from the brief look that I gave it. Based on what you saw and heard from week 1, who are your most, I shouldn't say most anticipated, who are your must-see artists for people that are going week 2?
But before we get into week two, I just want to mention how important that Cascade set was at the Do Lab, only because I was at his 2015 set where it was supposed to be a Cascade main stage set and a Redux set after the fact at the Do Lab, and it ended up getting canceled because of the potential safety concern of overcrowding. I am just so happy for Cascade that he finally got to do his Do Lab set. I think this was a long time coming. What is that? 6 years?
Yep.
Oh, way longer than that. 9 years.
Been a while.
9 years coming. He finally got to do his Do Lab set, and back to back with Alice in Wonderland is the way to go. And I just wanted to. I didn't get to see any of it. I've seen like clips from people on their phones, but those are even scarce because of how much fun everybody was having. And I just want to say that I'm so happy that he was able to finally fulfill that.
There are stages that typically don't stream, and we kind of make a fuss about it. I think the Do Lab is the one you and I both agree. It's kind of great that they don't stream anything from in there. Whatever happens in that odd area happens. The first time I went, I had no fucking clue what the Do Lab was. And I remember just wandering into this oasis and being hit with water guns in every
Yep.
direction. And I was like, how is DJ equipment safe around this much water flying through the air? And it was a lot of fun. I had no idea who any of the DJs I saw were. It seemed to be just chaos. There was as many people on the stage as there were in the crowd. And it was a lot of fucking fun while I was in there. That's all I remember.
I think back in those days, the Do Lab was right in the middle of the field too, so you could
It was.
you could hear sound bleed from from all of the other stages, which was both jarring and interesting, you know?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, a little bit. All right, so who are your must-sees for week two?
I mean, if it's most definitely, bro. After watching the stream, everybody needs to go in and see Clowncore. I think that set was art. I think they might be the most talented musicians at Coachella this year.
Wow.
I think it's kind of crazy how much ambiance they created. I think the Beths were a lot of fun, but mainly the main set you have to see, cannot skip. The main sets for me would be Sublime, can't miss that. You can't miss Bicep on Sunday evening, and I would go ahead and say Justice on Friday evening.
All fantastic picks. I
What
I
about you?
really think Chapel Roan, man, she
Oh
fucking
yes, Chaperone killed it.
crushed it, man. Crushed it. Her vocal performance was insane. I loved it, man. Tyler, the creator, he put on a fantastic show. Uh, just getting blasted out of a trailer in the middle of a canyon to start things off was a hell of a way to go. No doubt, who I kind of saw on the flyer, and I think to what you were saying earlier, like a lot of people kind of frowned at the lineup when it came out. You and I included it to some extent because it's always like, oh, well, they could have got this name, and I bet you they settled for this name. When you're doing that, you're not really taking into account what that performer is going to actually be like. And I think No Doubt in reality live was much better now than I anticipated they would be. I've seen Gwen do interviews over the past few years and I kind of forget that when she's in No Doubt, it's a persona, and I was surprised at how well she snapped back into the Gwen Stefani No Doubt persona and not her personal self.
Right.
I was really, really blown away by their set, their energy, just the way it sounded was fantastic. Bringing Olivia Rodrigo out was pretty cool for Bathwater. Like you said, Justice as well. You got to go see. Please count the amount of cigarettes they smoke. I got to know. Renee Rapp, really, really fun. I think Sunday afternoon set. She
Yeah,
had the
her set
cast
was
of the
fun.
L Word come and introduce her. She brought out Kesha to do TikTok, and they changed the lyric to "Fuck P Diddy." And I think a deeper cut would be Brittany Howard, who's just always going to be great live in any atmosphere you see her.
Yep, I'll agree to that. I watched her set as well. And then if you get there early enough tomorrow, if you're going, go hang out in the pool party that's going to be the Sonora. You never know if the Aquabats are going to bring out Yo Gabba Gabba again.
Oh man, now people are expecting it though. 88 Rising's future set did end up including BB, who did her last two song EP that we covered, including, and then on top of that, did one more song that was great. I don't know if they're going to do the exact same lineup for week two.
They've
If
been
you're
removed
even,
from the lineup.
oh shit, really?
Yeah,
I did
they're
not
not on
catch
the set
that.
times.
Oh, yeah, it felt like a one and done. It didn't feel like you could replicate the amount of artists that they had there. It was all kind of surprising. I don't think anybody knew ahead of time.
It was a lot of fun.
Did you catch it all?
I didn't catch all of it. I watched probably about 20 minutes of it, give or take. I was skipping around.
Gotcha. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. On top of that, okay, let's talk about the performances we didn't like. We got to be honest, man. So I caught Sabrina Carpenter, and I'm a fan of her music. I really like her songs. We'll talk about one here shortly that I'm a big fan of. But I thought she sounded off on the day. I don't know what it was, but something about it was just off. Did you catch her set?
I caught about 5 minutes of her set before I was like, yeah, this is boring.
Yeah, it just was not. It felt like she was kind of trying out a new tour setup before it was all
Hmm.
fully thought out. That's what it felt like to me. And I think the most obvious dud of the weekend was Taking Back Sunday, who just sounded terrible.
I'm
Fucking
gonna
terrible.
disagree with you, bro. I look, bro.
No, no.
I know
You
that
went back and
Adam's
listened?
sound. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. I've seen Taking Back Sunday a number of times over the last decade.
Same.
This is over the last
Oh
decade,
no,
though.
no,
Over the
no,
last
no.
10
Okay.
years. I've seen them
No, you
probably
were
three
correct.
times, I think, over the last 10 years. And that set that I watched on the stream, now I wasn't there in person, but on the stream, Adam sounded better than he has in a long time. And that is saying something because he didn't sound that great. But the band carried the energy for me at the very least. I think his name is Jon, who's the guitarist slash vocalist. Is it Jon? It might be somebody else. But I mean, Adam doesn't sound amazing. We know this, but I think everything else about that performance was a lot of fun. So there's that.
Yeah, he sounded like
Oh no, he
he
sounded
would.
bad. That I'll give you. He
It
sounded
was.
bad. The band itself brought the energy.
Yes, yes, and I agree. The second vocalist, he was trying to just start bringing the screams in just to cut, I think, Adam off, who it could only be described as like a Jack Sparrow energy that he was walking around the stage with. Very odd. I think you're right. Sublime was more the natural successors to the Blink 182 set of last year than Taking Back Sunday was this year. All right. Other than that, I thought everything else was pretty good. You got any other notes going into weekend too?
No, I'm going to be grabbing all of the Yuma sets. So I'm very excited too because we did not get any of those last weekend. I'm very excited to get all of those this weekend. So I
For sure.
I'm excited. We'll talk a little bit about that coming up.
All right. Well, let's kick things off with this new one from Dua Lipa called Illusion. Thought it was pretty good. I like it about as much as Houdini, a little bit less than Training Season, but I think the album's shaping up nicely. What did you think of it?
You know, man, I actually think this one's a lot of fun. It's got a lot of energy, and I love it when she has that EDM edge to her.
Yeah, hoping for some more of that on the album for sure.
Yep.
Got this new one from Sabrina Carpenter that we just mentioned a minute ago. It's called Espresso. I mean, the song's about as deep as a bowl of soup, but that does not take away from it being a fucking jam. What'd you think of it?
It's a jam. It's kind of just like it was a little boring for me, man. I found myself about halfway through on this 2 minute and 53 second song, being like, okay,
Maybe you needed some espresso, Brandon.
that could be it. That could
All
be
right,
it.
we got a new one from Tinashe called Nasty. This is the first track off of the Baby Angel Deluxe, and pretty much all I could ask for. 10 out of 10, no notes. She performed this one live last weekend at Coachella, and I think they uploaded that video to their main YouTube channel if you want to check it out. What'd you think of this one?
You know, man, Tinashe just has a way about her. You've gotten me to be a pretty big fan of hers.
Yeah.
She's got a great voice, and I love when she does stuff like this song where she just lets herself be herself.
Yeah, that's all us fans have ever wanted of hers, man. I'm glad you're on board. All
Yes,
right, we
sir.
got a new one from Chloe, Boy Bye. I feel like this run of singles she's been on lately have been stronger than her debut album was.
I
And I like
agree.
that no matter what, she just keeps creating. Like, I feel like she might be creating at such a fast pace for the genre that most people won't catch the genius of her songs like Treat Me and For the Night for a few more years. But hopefully they do get discovered again because, man, she's put out some gems so far. Were you a fan of this one?
The song's a hit, bro.
Yeah, she performed it live, also uploaded to the main Coachella YouTube if people want to check that performance out.
Yeah, the song's a hit.
Another Coachella performer. Jesus Christ, man, we cover a lot of them this week. Twee, her new song Hair Down came out. This one did not wow me on the first listen, but was good enough to make it into like my current music rotation and has been good enough to stay in that rotation ever since. It's not her best song to date by any means, but I think it's a great reminder of how effortless she can just put out a bop like this. Did you like it?
I think that's apt, sir.
Thank you.
I think she doesn't need to try so hard because she doesn't need to try so hard, and I I love that about her, man. This is a good song.
I think the first Vietnamese American to perform at Coachella. Very cool.
Hey, legit.
All right, man. Let's talk about this new fucking Willow track, Big
Can we
Feelings.
please?
Holy shit, dude. All right, let's just say, first of all, Willow fucking rules. Like, we just need to say that right up front. Fucking rules. She was making entry-level pop punk 2 years ago, had already moved on to post-hardcore within a year of that. She is now giving us full-blown math rock masterpieces like this. I cannot give her enough credit. She announced a new album too, because of course she did. Empathogen drops May 3rd, and I'm pretty fucking stoked on it after hearing this. Did this blow your mind as much as it blew mine?
John, I actually love how many curveballs we get thrown from Willow. And
Hmm.
if I'm being honest, man, she's surprising me with literally every one of her releases over the last few years. And I
Same.
always like try to guess, like when there's a new single from Willow, I'm like, all right, what are we going to get? And I'm almost always wrong. And I love that about her. It's a great
Yeah.
track.
Dude, it is so good. Questlove shouted her out on social media recently, kind of just nodding to the fact that not a lot of artists with an audience as big as hers would be putting out songs where in pop music you are told to not do challenging
It
time
is.
signatures, not do tempo changes out of nowhere, not do 5 minute songs like this. And she just doesn't give a fuck. Shout out to her. I can't wait for that album. I'm glad we only have to wait a couple weeks.
Same.
Okay, new one from Thursday. Application for release from Dream is the title of it. Where do you lie?
This is the first new Thursday song in a long time. Welcome
Over
back,
10
my
years.
dudes.
Yeah.
At the very least, I think the song is great, even a little proggy at times. I'm excited to hear what else they've got for us. I am awaiting apprehensively.
I thought this one was good. I will stop short of saying great, but they've never been on my Mount Rushmore. I think they're a really good band. They have a few all-time classics, that's for sure. Jeff still sounds great. I think he's still a great songwriter, but like most of their tracks, it didn't really hit for me like I hoped it would. Very happy to see them back though. Hopefully this is leading to something.
It's good for the scene that Thursday is back. How's that?
Exactly. It doesn't need to be good for me. If it's good for the scene, I'm happy for
There
it.
we go.
It's like a mob mentality. All right. We got a new one from The Hold Steady, The Death of the Punchline. What are your thoughts on it?
You know that I love this classic rock
Yes, I know.
style, on the nose kind of stuff. This is just so simple. It's good, you know?
Yeah, you know I'm not always into this type of music, and I kind of had that mentality when I hit play on it, but the more I listened to it, I was like, if I'm at a festival, this band's on at like 3:30 in the afternoon, I got a beer in hand, it'd probably be a good time.
It would
It's
hit
one of
right.
those.
It would hit right. You know it would.
All right, talk to me about this new one from Gas Station, Rupert Pupkin.
Do you want to be the sprinkler on my lawn, John? Um,
Always.
I thought this
That's
song
expensive where
was.
you live.
That's true. That's why I got a fake lawn. I thought the song was great, man. I heard this band for the first time through like another one of their songs, and I hit follow, I think last year or something like that. And God, I love this shit, dude. I think they really hit it. I think the album art is an aesthetic choice. I think that they deserve a lot more than the 100 listeners or something that they have a month. So.
Oh, hard agree, dude. This song is short, sweet, easy to play 100 times, which I probably did this week. It's good stuff. All right, new one from Dead Wrong, Straight Through Me. You a fan of this one?
Look, man, underrated pop, emo pop is my fucking favorite, man. This is a really good track, fantastic melody, and I love the passion in the vocals. I love the album artwork for
Same.
this one.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, just good old-fashioned anthemic pop punk done right. I enjoyed it as well.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's move into the EDM realm of things. We got a lot to talk about this week with this new one from SG Lewis and DJ Seinfeld, Simple Times. I'm getting some like after party set vibes from this one. It's a fun track. I'm sure it's going to be good live. I think it's the second official release on his new record label. What'd you think of it?
John, I think this one is a banger. I will be
Fuck yeah.
watching the Yuma stream this weekend, like I just said, and I really hope that number one, they stream DJ Seinfeld's set because he's on so early, and two, I hope he drops this track because it is, like I said, a banger.
Streams have been starting at 4, right?
Yeah, but they've been kind of going back, you know?
Gotcha. Yeah, I got home in time to catch Clooney opening up with Sip and Yak, which was fucking awesome.
What a way to open a set.
What it doesn't get better than that, honestly. All right, got this new one from Caribou called Honey. Caribou is not fucking around with this one. This is an
Thank you.
absolute scorcher. I love the drop. I love everything about this track, dude. This is phenomenal. What are your thoughts on it?
It's my song of the week. As is
Yes.
tradition with Caribou, he just really goes all the way the fuck in.
Dude, this is one of, if not my favorite Caribou track today. This is phenomenal.
I challenge you to listen to another
So good.
Caribou track tonight and be like, no, you're right. They're all this
We
good.
have, I think we've covered a Caribou album on this podcast before. Um, we also covered Daphne as well, who I think he played this during the Daphne back to back,
He
which of
sure
course he was
fucking
going
did. Of
to.
course he did. Of course he did.
Yeah, fucking banger. All right, new one from Feed Me, Road Trip Sleeper, another week, another new Feed Me song. I love when he flexes his old electro house muscles like he does here. The new music is not stopping here either. He announced a new Spore track will be dropping tonight.
Oh dear God. Uh, color me excited. Hey John, are you a road trip sleeper? Like, do you fall asleep on road trips?
No, I fucking wish I had that dog in me, man. I do not.
I most definitely do, but only at night. Look, man, I think this is, as always, fucking great. And like you said, he flexes his electro house muscles on this one, and that is a very strong muscle memory muscle from Feed Me. So we'll see.
Yep,
We'll see what else we get from him, man. I'm excited for a new Spore. He always shakes up the drum and bass world.
he sure does. I'm excited for that one too. His last EP was great.
Oh yeah.
Got a got a new one from John Summit, Eat the Bass. I thought the song itself was good. It's well made. It sounds good, hits, all that stuff. He even does some kind of weird shit in this one that I wasn't expecting. Like cool, but the phrase "eat the bass" is so fucking stupid. Like it's hard for me to ignore that and just enjoy the song, but it's decent. What were your thoughts on it?
This dude is so fucking cheesy, but I cannot deny how fun this song is.
Yeah, that's it. That's really it. It's a love-hate type of thing, but it's a good
Right.
track. All right, new one from Kaztech and Rumpus called Need Your Love. Talk to me about this one.
This is just a house banger, man. This should have been played at the Do Lab all weekend.
It fucking should have, man. I feel like I've heard this lead vocal in another song before, but that could just be the whole all EDM vocals kind of sound the same train of thought. Other than that, I thought this one was really good, man. Definitely got me moving.
Yeah, man, it definitely got me moving all week.
All right, new one from Loon and Zabo. That's what you get. She has not missed yet, not about to start now. What were your thoughts on this one?
I actually think she missed for the first time for me on the last single she dropped, but this
What was
one,
that, the symphony one?
I think so. I think it
That
didn't.
doesn't
I think
count.
it didn't. See, does it though?
No.
This one brought her right back up there for me, and I was listening to this one. I was like, "Oh shit, who's this?" And I looked at it. And I was like, "Oh, yep, there it is. Hi, Loon." You know?
I mean, it's either my memory's bad or I try to forget things that I don't like as soon as possible. The latter might be the case there. You are right. That was not great. This is back on the track with great. Big fan of
Yes,
this.
sir.
Okay, new one from Charlie XCX. It's the new remix, I should say, of Von Dutch by Scream and Banga. Leave it to them to release the heaviest dub remix of this song imaginable. Props to Charlie and her team for getting a few legends in the genre to put a new spin on what I think is already an instant classic. What'd you think of this one?
Look, man, I just love the way that both Scream and Benga do production together.
Yep.
They know drums so well, and they're able to like create unique tracks and remixes just by fucking with the drums. If you listen to this
Mhm.
track, as the chorus comes in, the drums change. The entire tempo changes midway through the song, and then they bring it back, and it feels so seamless to the layman listener. You'd be like, this is just a song, but the way they do it is so masterful that you don't even realize that it's happening. I I'm bummed that Benga didn't ended up having visa issues, and so he couldn't get into the States for Coachella, because I was really excited for people to
That sucks.
see
Yeah.
a Scream and Benga set. But dear God, man, this song has been on repeat this week, like for real. Played it for somebody, I think, earlier today, and she was like, "Man, this goes way too hard."
He's been doing that for a long. Both of these guys have been doing this for a long time too,
Right,
man.
right, right.
On a side note, Charlie XCX and Troye Sivan have announced a new arena tour with Shy Girl as the opener.
Good for
Lock that
them.
one in for tour of the year. It is brave enough to come to Portland, Oregon. I'm gonna try and get tickets to it.
That will be a very fun show, John.
Oh, it's the day before my birthday. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
There it is.
All right, man. I forgot to sort this one. I hope it made sense here. So this is a new one
It
from Neil
didn't, but I love
Francis
you.
and Papa Rod called High Notes. What were your thoughts on it?
Look, man, I actually threw this on because I had heard it that I think it was that night at Coachella. I watched the stream of Neil Francis and Papa Rod, which is
Yeah.
a really dumb name, came out and performed this song.
You
And
come up with a new name.
right, let somebody tell him. But look, man, I actually really like this song. It's super chill, and it is a really good Neil Francis track, man. I just love this band. I'm sure you didn't like it because you haven't liked Neil Francis in the past. So
Shut up. You don't know me, Brandon.
did you like
No,
it?
yes, I did. I caught a little bit of their set too, and it was really great.
Hey,
Yeah, you can catch a fucking contact high from this song, dude. Papa
there it
Rod has
is.
been making a living on like Good Vibes Only playlists for years now, and I think this song feels like it was tailor-made for one of those. So
Respect,
shout out to them for making that money on this.
mad
That
respect.
that big Spotify money.
Oh,
Um,
$14 last year. I bet he made.
That's a whole other episode. All right, so let's get into the EPs this week. We got a couple. So Fred again, he added two new tracks to the USB project and packaged it all up as a vinyl, labeling it part one. But he said he's going to keep adding to the USB album for as long as he's making music. He wants to look back on this thing 10, 20 years from now and it just be an endless thing of songs he's made that weren't for other albums. He knew the demand for the vinyl was starting to get a little out of hand, so he packaged the songs up for a part one. Uh, Neither of the two new songs did much for me, but I love the direct to consumer model he's kind of been able to create for himself. What do you think of this one and kind of the way he's releasing it?
Number one, I like the way he's releasing it, where it's one project and he just kind of like adds to it. I think that is unique, albeit not as effective for releasing new music as it could be.
Sure.
But these tracks are a little bit more minimal than we normally get from Fred, and I actually really liked the more minimal aspect. I know that his like actual life stuff is like minimal, but this was more darker minimal rather than
Yeah.
lighter side minimal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they felt more like tracks that he kind of made for specific live purposes, but just kind of
Exactly.
released on here. I'm not against that. All right, man. The Baby Rose and Bad Bad Not Good EP Slow Burn is out. Did it live up to your hype for it?
All of these tracks are basically as I thought they'd be.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. Her raspy voice over layered contemporary jazz and blues fusion is just fucking perfect. I listened to every song of this EP every day this week. Incredible stuff. The bass line, though, on Slow Bird just fucking sends me every time.
So good, dude.
Everybody pay these people. Like somebody give these people money. They deserve it.
Yeah, dude, this sounds every bit as good as we knew it would. Like her fucking like trademark smoky vocals over their laid back jazz instrumentals is just mesmerizing. I need them to tour every jazz club in every major city with this release.
Right.
I would be there from the first note until the last. Could you imagine just being at a like Blue Note Jazz Club one night and this is just what happens to be on stage? That would
Dear
be insane.
God, John. Dear God.
Incredible, dude. Incredible. All right, who do you want to see Bad Bad work with next? Keep
Ooh.
in mind, their release before this was Turnstile, so it doesn't have to be limited to R&B.
Okay. Ray. I think they would do a really good
Yes.
job with Ray.
Yeah.
Um, Number one. Number two, I think I would love to see them work with The Alchemist.
That's fucking interesting,
I
man.
would love to see them work with The Alchemist. So what he does is he interpolates and samples fucking jazz shit into his hip hop. I would love to see him
Make
ask
stuff
for
for him. Yeah.
something from a live band.
That's yeah. Yeah. I agree with both those picks. I had nothing in mind when I asked that question. He answered it perfectly.
Hey,
All right, let's talk about these new ones from Anti Up, The Weekend, and Control the Media. Not Control the Media was good, but The Weekend, instant classic for me. We've never
instant.
been huge Chris Lake guys on the podcast, but this got me excited for the upcoming album between him and Chris Lorenzo. I thought their performance at Coachella was great too. What'd you think of it?
Yeah, that's undeniable, bro. The Weekend is a fucking banger. It got me moving every time. It's funny. Every time The Weekend came on, I like could not stop my body in some way, shape, or form
It's a
from
jam.
moving. It is a jam. Absolutely.
They played in the Mojave, correct?
They had chosen the Mojave for
Yeah.
the vibes.
Yeah, they said that they kind of had to like go back and forth with Coachella to get the Mojave because they felt like it fit the sound better and the type of show that they were going to do. And I think it was the right call, man.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
I do like that Sahara isn't default EDM right now, but man, there was some pretty atrocious hip hop on there at some points this weekend.
Hey, bro.
Uh,
Ken Carson is one of the greatest of
oh,
all
dude.
times.
I think ISOXO was in the pit for that performance too. Um,
No
it
comment.
just I think that maybe that music is fun when you're in the crowd and you have energy and you're of a certain mindset
And
or
if you
just
know the
age.
music,
Yeah, and if you know the music, which is always the biggest difference maker at a live festival or otherwise. But yeah, I feel like none of that translated to streaming as a very, very novice fan of this person, you know?
right?
All right, man, let's talk about this new release from Cloud. Disciple and Defect are the two new songs. As always, I knew you would add some techno to the playlist this week. We'll talk about that next, but I'd be hard pressed to tell you the last time I added any techno to the playlist.
Yep.
Cloud is one of the few artists in the genre that I follow, and he put out these two new tracks that were absolutely relentless and punishing, but also creative and great. And I felt like you needed to hear them. What'd you think?
Well, I appreciate you adding them. These tracks are great, man. Hard techno attacks the Brandon's Face playlist. Um, the current techno scene is very interesting. You have all the proper techno heads on one side, and then you have the people who are like, "Oh, hard techno is a thing," and Los Angeles, at the very least, their undergrounds have been overrun with hard techno kind of artists, and even like artists like 9 by 9 have been moving more from an acid techno sort of sound to more of a this kind of sound. And I gotta say, bro, these tracks are not hard style, but I've seen a lot of tracks that are labeled as hard techno come in as like they're just legitimately late 90s hard style.
Yeah,
I loved both of these, bro.
fuck yeah.
Disciple fucking hits. And yeah, man, I actually think, funny enough, it sets the stage for the next release.
It does. Let's talk about that one. That is the new EP from Robert Hood, Alpha Key. Talk to me about it.
Robert Hood is the king of minimal techno, coming at us with a not so minimal release, a little less minimal than he normally does. Each track here is a good time, as is tradition with Mr. Hood. A couple of
Mhm.
bleepy bloopies and some really crunchy, compressed bass lines. I think Robert Hood fucking kills it, bro. What'd you think about this one?
I agree. I'm a big fan of the bleeps and boops, as you know. Yeah, I think the only thing I that was tough about this record was that it came after the Cloud one, which is just so fucking chaotic
It,
that it
it's
took a
a
second for me to adjust,
it's
you
a
know?
real juxtaposition, right? Like you hear some
It is.
proper next to some hard, and you're like, wait a second.
Yeah. Is this real time? Yeah, dude, I really liked it though. Good stuff.
Yeah,
Are
this
you
was
ready to
definitely
talk
good
about
stuff.
the albums this week?
I am so ready, John. Let's go.
Okay, man. You added this one from Girl in Red. It's I'm Doing It Again, Baby. What are your thoughts on it?
So I want to say it was either last year or a year ago. My wife and I were hanging out in bed on like a Saturday morning, and we threw on the Coachella stream, and this band Girl in Red was playing, and I was like, well, "Who is this?" Super early in the morning or something like that, and it kind of hit the spot. This, however, is more of like a straight up pop album than the pop rock that I'm used to with Girl in Red. She's kind of leaning into this pop girl thing to that you do when you've released a couple of albums and you just need to write lyrics worse than you do on the last one. Other than that, I think this album has like a ton of good things in it. I think there's like really great and like really simple melodies throughout. I think there's a good vocal performance as well, although I don't really like it when her voice is filtered through some kind of program. Other than that, I think this album was decent. There's so much more interesting music this week though that I didn't really pay that much attention to it. I liked it more than I didn't, so I'm going to give it somewhere between a 5 and a 6. My standout was New Love.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I thought this one was okay. It never really got better than the track too much, but it never really got too stale either. The track with Sabrina grew on me a little bit since we talked about it last, but it's still not one of my favorites. Thought the closer on the album was pretty good, actually, 5 stars. I just wish that one was a little bit longer. I also have this one between a 5 and a 6. My standout is Too Much.
Nice. That's a good song.
It is. She actually, I think, just performed it on Fallon, who I find insufferable, but she crushed it. It was a good performance.
Nice,
I do
nice.
agree, though. This one is much more of a pop album than a rock album. All
Yeah,
right,
man.
we got this long-awaited one from Nia Archives, Silence is Loud. So I don't think this one fully clicked for me until I gave it the headphones listen, but once it did, I was pretty hooked. Her rapid fire combinations of jungle garage and drum and bass are incredible, and I think her vocals match the vibe of the music perfectly. Crowded Rooms still probably my favorite track on here, but this one has quite a few bangers on it. Forbidden Feelings, Tell Me What It's Like, both early standouts for me. I really liked the two closures, Killjoy and So Tell Me. This one's a solid 7 for me. Crowded Rooms is my standout. How are you feeling about it? Did it live up to the hype?
Yeah, most definitely, John. The debut album from Nia Archives is here. I gotta say, man, there is something so special about her voice. It works so well for her production that it's kind of a little bit insane. That rasp, the soul, and like the tangible passion that she displays vocally really shines on every track here. I usually like my drum and bass to have kind of the vocals take like a back seat, right? But not on this one, man. They mesh so well and it all works together so seamlessly. The elongated synth work on tracks like Silence is Loud is so good, man. You know I love a good drawn out melody like that.
I do.
The bass lines on the majority of this album are top notch, but dear God, tell me what it's like. It's
Yeah.
just next fucking level. I love all of the guitar on this album, man. She kills basically every track on this one. I feel like it would be remiss of us to not at least mention her Boiler Room set here, even though we talked about it a
So
little bit
good.
last week. She exemplifies what the scene needs: a wholesome person doing live vocals over her fantastic productions and just overall just having fun, man. I
Yeah.
see a lot of DJs, even like just doing Boiler Rooms where it's just business for them. They're in there, they're mixing, but like Nia Archives fucking did it, bro. Um, Look, man, I've listened to this album like half a dozen times, and the Boiler Room at least 3. I'm a big fan at this point, dude. Nia Archives is someone who we should be watching as time goes on. Like I said, I think at the end of the year last year during our Album of the Year EDM episode, drum and bass is going to have its moment. This album was actually released on Universal, which is huge.
That's crazy.
It's fucking huge. At least in the United States, it was released on Universal. I think in the UK, it was released on Island. This is a good album, bro. I'm a big fan of it. I'm gonna give it an 8. Tell Me What It's Like is my favorite, just cause that goddamn bass line, man.
Yep. Yeah, that goddamn bass line is so good. All right, man. We got a new album from Belmont. Liminal is finally out. I think we heard a lot of these songs as singles leading up to the release, but the album still hit pretty hard for me the first time I threw it on. I don't know if I liked it more than their last album, but I definitely didn't like it less. It opens up with that insane riff on SSX Trickmont. The straightforward pop punk vibes of All Bite are pretty great. The super catchy chorus of the title track. Thought all of it was really good, man. There's a few gems in the album cuts too. Day by Day and Counterfeit were pretty heavy in my rotation this week. Thought it was a solid album all around. I have it between a 6 and a 7. My standout is the title track, Liminal, just because I cannot get the chorus of it out of my head. What'd you think of this one?
Look, man, the opening track being SSX Trickmont is not only hilarious, but really helped me kind of figure out what kind of album this was going to be, kind of going in before I listened to it. And it's going to be a fun hardcore adjacent album that would be fantastic while playing a snowboarding game. Now, to be real, I was always more of a fan of the 1080 games myself, but SSX Tricky was pretty good as well. So
I was a 1080 guy too. It's because we're 64 people.
Bob Burnquist, let's go.
Let's go.
So after my first listen, I had forgotten and said to myself, "Who released this?" And of course, it's Pure Noise Records. Yeah, they did it again. Is it post-hardcore? Is it pop punk? Is it hardcore? The answer to all of these questions, John, is yes. The use of the Mr. Crab sample on Two's a Party, along with the dude describing a breakdown on Counterfeit, and then they do the breakdown he describes, is, God, man, it's just so cathartic and like genres that take themselves entirely too seriously for the majority of the time. Look, man, this album is one of the best to release in whatever category you want to put it in, but I really think that the music kind of backs it all up, man. The melodic aspects of this are great, the arpeggios and Liminal, and just the guitar playing as a whole throughout the album here hit. The lyrical content, both emo, both hardcore. I just love it when a band toes the line like this so well. And similar to Anxious a couple of years ago, I feel like this album will become a mainstay in my playlist for the rest of the year. Mad respect, ton of fun. This is an easy 8 for me, man. Standout is either Liminal or Counterfeit. Both of those songs are fucking bangers.
Dude, I agree. I think they also, I'd have to go back to their last album. It has been a bit. I feel like they toned down the way that they used all the electronic elements in this album too, and it kind of benefited it. It was a little bit of cleaner sound all the way through. I really liked it.
Yeah, man, I enjoyed this one a lot.
Dude, I'm fucking glad. All right, let's talk about this new one. This is okay, so it's the Challengers soundtrack, the movie coming out, done by Tret Rezor and Atticus Ross, and it is mixed by Boys Noise. I know it's not a traditional album, but who cares? It is much cooler than that. It's the soundtrack for the Zendaya tennis threesome movie, which already sounds awesome, but like not only did they have Boys Noise mix this because it's very dance music oriented, they let him rework parts of it specifically for the mix. And I think if you're a crazy Boys Noise fan like you and I, you can hear a lot of that trademark stuff going on in the back half of Compress Repress. The whole project feels like a fever dream to me, though, dude. It's essentially a Boys Noise Nine Inch Nails album disguised as a soundtrack. I'm kind of obsessed with it, man. If I had to score it, it's like between an 8 and a 9, probably a 9. My standout is Compress Repress. That's my song of the week as well.
There it is. I was waiting for that.
I've been listening to this one multiple times a day since it released. What'd you think of it?
Same, number one. But the fact that this is essentially a Nine Inch Nails collaboration with Boys Noise, like, legitimately blows my fucking mind, John. Like,
it's hard to comprehend.
It's just... How? Where? What happened? I need to know what happened. We need to interview one of these people and be like, okay, who reached out to who? Did you hear Polarity and we're like, okay, finally we can work with Boys Noise? Or did you hear something like from Out of the Black and Tret Rezor was like, okay, well, I need to, like. I just need to know how it went down, man. But regardless of how it went down, John, I am so glad that these people found each other and then proceeded to make music that like super resonated with me. As this is a movie score, there's like obviously some cohesiveness, but it's kind of all over the place, both tempo and track length wise. But when allowed to actually get into the grooves here, man, the moments on this OST are just fantastic. The title track Challenger comes to mind, along with the Signal. I thought that this whole thing was just a great practice round for what I'm actually hoping for, which is a legitimate full length album from all three of these fucking legends. I didn't give it a score, but if I had to, it would be very high. I think the Signal or Compress Repress are both
Yeah.
just absolutely fucking incredible. And yeah, obviously I heard Boys Noise, Mr. Alex Ritta doing his thing. If you look at the production credits for this entire thing, Boys Noise's name is all over it. I'm over the moon excited for Boys Noise. I saw Boys Noise play his I think it was Oi 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 album set in 2012 in like this little tiny venue in San Diego in a fucking basement, and to hear him working with Nine Inch Nails is like legitimately blowing my fucking mind.
It's crazy, man. Like he's been working with Lady Gaga now. He went platinum, diamond, I think, with that song Rain on Me. It's fucking
Yikes.
crazy, man. Yeah, this is insane. I would love an album from all three of them. I don't know if we're gonna get that. I'm just happy we got this. I don't know what song it is, but the drums from Cerebral, the like bassy kick drum, is the same drum. Dude, I was like, that's the Pylo Boys Noise Cerebral drum. I hear it. I fucking hear it. Yeah,
And you
this
know
is
what's funny? And
fantastic.
you know what's funny about Boys Noise Productions, bro, is that you can always both Nine Inch Nails and Boys Noise individual productions is that if you walk into a club and you hear anybody playing any sample or semblance of that, you like know what it is. And
Hmm.
I am just so happy that these three got together because they all three of them deserved it. You know what I mean?
And we had no idea this was coming out either, which made it all the better.
So who do you think impressed who more? Like, do you think Boys Noise was like Trent and
Oh, they
Atticus?
reached out to
Look,
him. No.
look at my synthesizer wall, or do you
No.
think okay?
So they Trent Atticus released a video recently on YouTube going through like a bunch of Nine Inch Nails and their famous scores together and kind of talking about the creative process behind them. And they talked about working on this new movie, Challengers, and the director pretty much told them, I want straightforward dance music the whole time. Like, I want you to be able to dance to this music more, or to this movie more or less. And I think they made the songs, and instead of just releasing the songs as is unmixed, they were like, this would be more fun since it's all dance music to do a mixed version of it, a continuous mixed version of it. And I believe they reached out to him. They've posted a few things together since they all got these like dental molds done together. Of course, it's fucking Tret Rezor and Atticus Ross. But yeah, they got one with Boys Noise. He has his with them. I don't know, man. It's clearly a relationship. I hope that we get more from it. But honestly, if this is it, I'm grateful. This is
Nine Inch Nails
fantastic.
tour, Boys Noise opening.
Oh my
Let's
God,
fucking
dude, shut
go.
the fuck up. All right, let's talk about this Red Pears album, Better Late Than Never. You a fan?
Yeah, man, I super duper am. It has been a long time since I've been sucked into an album by an indie rock band like this, and I know I know it has like a ton of influence from the Strokes. We can all say that this sounds a little bit like early Strokes, but I don't think that that's really a bad thing to me. I think they do a pretty good job of
Feverishly crosses notes out.
I think they do a good job of differentiating the sounds for the majority of the time and making them their own. I watched the Red Pears play at Coachella. I loved it. I'm glad I gave them a listen. I'm going to be actually diving into their previous releases and also the record label, Daycare Records, who I had never heard of, that released this. I'm wildly curious how stuff like this is kind of like curated, you know, like this is a
Yeah.
good indie rock record, and we've gotten so many good indie pop records over the last few years because it seems like that's just kind of where the world is going. But like, there's no pop mixing, mastering, or production on this. It is all rock, just done in an indie way here, and I'm kind of glad for that, man. I think we needed some of that, and even if they have a lot of Strokes influence, who the fuck else is doing that nowadays? This is a six, somewhere between a 6 and a 7 for me. Kidding on the Square is probably my standout.
Fuck yeah. So there's nothing I didn't like about this album, but there's nothing that really like stood out to me about it either. The Strokes influence is obvious. That didn't really take away from the experience for me personally. It's just straightforward indie rock. The singer has a really good voice. I thought the melodies that they were playing were really catchy, even if they're a little derivative, but the whole fucking genre is at this point. So is what it is, man. Thought it was I liked it more than I didn't. I have it between like a 5 and a 6 if I had to score it. See what I mean is my standout.
Nice, man.
Let's talk about this Witch Vomit album, Funeral Sanctum, please, man. Been dying to get your thoughts on this one all week.
All right, man. Well, one of the reasons why I really wanted to talk about this is because when I first heard it, I was immediately taken back to me figuring out what death metal was compared to non death metal. Back in the early 2000s, I was researching metal and I was coming across older bands like Once Upon a Cross by DOIG, a bunch of the old school technical death metal bands, Cryptopsy, etc. And one thing I really love about this, Jon, is that it sounds like it's a '90s album. If you look at the album artwork, if you listen to the music, it's almost as if they made this music from studio equipment and instruments that were available to teenagers in the early '90s interested in making death metal. This sounds like an old DOIG record, and I love how much talent and technicality is just kind of being hidden behind horrible production. There's a lot of bands that do tech death that end up sounding melodic, and there's a lot of mellow death bands that end up sounding technical. But I think this is firmly in the technical realm, and I think and it kind of has their stake for their own area, because tracks like Blood of Abomination and In Darkened Spirits really show off their technical ability, while not really acquiescing to any of the preconceived genre delineations that there are. I really liked this album, man. It's probably I'm somewhere between a 6 and a 7. I think probably more so on the 7 side. My standout
Yeah.
was In Darkened Spirits. I think this album bangs, man. What did you think?
Dude, I don't know why I went into it thinking I wouldn't like it. I should have known better. You've only been throwing some heat on this year when it comes to metal. And I think this is just another one to add to the list, dude. The fucking hammer-ons, that like soaring whammy bar shit, the doomy chugs, the crushing vocals. I thought this album ripped, dude. It was an easy 7 for me. Like you said, another solid release from 20 Buck Spin Records. My standout is Serpentine Shadows on this one. Great album
Yeah,
though, man. Really liked it.
that's a really good one, man. Serpentine Shadows is good, and obviously 20 Buck Spin has just been fucking killing it for years at this point. So, yeah,
Yep.
I like this
All
one.
right. Let's wrap things up this week by briefly chatting about this new one from Arrow Minds S.A.D. We reviewed a few of these tracks as singles, and I think all the vibes from those are present and accounted for on this album. It's post-hardcore with kind of a alt-rock mentality to it. It works really well for them. I could have used a little less with like the electronic drum elements and the programming worked in. I think they do it well, but I don't think they need to do it quite as often as they do it. I've never been a huge fan of that type of music, though, so it could just be personal preference. This album's an easy 6 for me, though. I definitely enjoyed it. Beyond Remedy with Evergreen Terrace is my standout. Song rips. What'd you think of this one?
This this sound, Jon, is why metal elitists hate metalcore. Um, they have. I'm not saying this is bad, because I actually enjoyed this one. I have this at a somewhere between a 6 and a 7 as well, probably more so on the 6 end of things. Uh, uh, Kind of a light 6 here, but yeah, I think that some of the arpeggiated drums, like you said, the programmed electronic elements, I think the areas where they are non-conventional seem to both work and not work at the same time. They make me cringe and also not cringe at the same time. I don't know if any of this really makes any sense, but the reality is that I enjoyed the majority of my time with this, but it's as if Evergreen Terrace and Stained had a baby, and that baby decided to make this kind of alt rock that could also be called metalcore. So that's just kind of where I'm at here. My standout is also that track with Evergreen Terrace, because when I heard that, it's really the main reason why I decided to add this album on here. Beyond Remedy is a fucking banger, and I wish they had more of that energy throughout the entire album. I have it at a 6. Let's
I
go to
agree.
a 6.
Fair. All right, man. That does it for us this week. We'll be back again next week. We got new releases dropping tonight from Taylor Swift, Local
Oh,
Natives, Cloud Nothings, Boris Brejcha, See You Space Cowboy, Certain Ratio, and more. Follow along with the playlist this podcast is based on so you can keep up with what we'll be talking about on next week's episode. It's updated every Friday night. You can also find us on Instagram and Reddit. Just search Brandon's Face Pod. Until next time, peace.
peace.